Hello, everyone. Welcome back to Word to World English. I'm so happy you're here with us today. Whether you're joining us for the first time or you're one of our regular listeners, welcome, welcome, welcome. Hey there! Great to have you all with us again. I was just thinking on the way here today, I had to ask a friend to lend me his phone charger because mine broke. And then it hit me. This is exactly what we're talking about today.
Oh, wow, that's a perfect connection. Funny enough, I actually said to someone last week, "Can you borrow me your pen?" And my friend just looked at me with this face like, "Wait, what did you just say?"
And that's exactly why we're making this episode today. Today's topic is one of the most mixed up pairs in the English language: lend and borrow. These two words confuse even intermediate and advanced learners all the time.
That's right. And by the end of this episode, you're going to know exactly when to use lend and when to use borrow. You'll be able to ask for things naturally, offer things politely, and sound totally confident doing it.
Before we dive in, we have a little question for you. Have you ever confused lend and borrow before? Maybe you used the wrong one in a conversation and felt a little embarrassed? Drop your story in the comments. We'd love to hear it. You're definitely not alone.
And if you're new here, please make sure you hit that subscribe button on Word to World English so you never miss an episode. We make these videos to help you sound natural and confident in English, and this one today is going to be super useful.
All right, let's not waste any more time. Let's jump right in and clear up this confusion once and for all.
Okay, so let's start from the very beginning. The most important thing to understand is this. Lend and borrow describe the same situation, but from two completely different directions. Think of it like this. If I have something and I give it to you temporarily, I lend it to you. If you receive it from me temporarily, you borrow it from me.
Exactly. So the key structure for lend is the person who has the thing is the subject. The formula is subject lends something to someone. For example, can you lend me your umbrella? That means you have the umbrella, and I'm asking you to give it to me for a while.
And for borrow, the person who receives the thing is the subject. The formula is subject borrows something from someone. So I would say, can I borrow your umbrella? That means I want to take it from you for a while. Same situation, but I'm the one asking and I'm the subject.
Let me give you a few more examples so this really sticks. If your friend has a car and you need it for the weekend, you could say, "Can I borrow your car this weekend?" That's you asking. Or your friend could offer and say, "You can borrow my car this weekend." That's them giving you permission.
And on the other side, if you're the friend with the car, you might say, "I can lend you my car this weekend." You have the car and you're offering to give it temporarily. See the difference? Same weekend, same car, but a totally different direction.
Here's another one. Imagine you're at work and you need a pen. You'd say to your colleague, "Hey, can I borrow a pen?" You're the one without the pen. But if your colleague sees you looking around, they might say, "I can lend you a pen." They have the pen. They're offering it. This is something I do almost every single day at work.
Me too. And here's a really simple way to remember it. Lend goes out. It goes away from you. Borrow comes in. It comes toward you. Lend goes out. Borrow comes in. Say that with me. Lend goes out. Borrow comes in.
Now let's look at how to make these negative. I can't lend you my car right now. I need it. Or, sorry, I can't borrow your laptop today. I won't have time to use it. The negatives work the same way, just add can't or don't, depending on the tense.
There's also past tense. She lent me her jacket last night. She had it.
There's also past tense. She lent me her jacket last night. She had it. She gave it temporarily. I borrowed his notes before the exam. I received them temporarily. Really common in everyday conversation.
Here's a quick question for you, our listeners. Pause for a second and think. If your friend has a book you want to read, what would you say? Would you say, can I lend your book? Or can I borrow your book? Think about it. The answer is, can I borrow your book? Because you are receiving it. Write your answer in the comments and tell us if you got it right.
Great job thinking about that. So to summarize this section, lend is for the person giving, borrow is for the person receiving. Lend goes out, borrow comes in. Keep those two directions in mind and you're already ahead of most learners.
Fantastic start, everyone. Now let's build on this and look at some more natural, real-life uses of these words.
Okay, now that we understand the basic direction of lend and borrow, let's look at how these words actually show up in real life. Because knowing the rule is one thing, but using it naturally in a real conversation is what really matters.
Absolutely. And one thing I want to point out is that lend and borrow are used in so many everyday situations. Think about money, books, clothes, tools, phones, cars, anything that can be temporarily shared. These words come up all the time.
Let's start with money, because that's probably the most common situation. If your friend needs cash and asks you, they would say, "Hey, can you lend me some money until Friday?" Or from their side, "Can I borrow some money until Friday?" Same situation. Both versions are correct depending on who's speaking.
And notice something important here. Lend me is very natural in spoken English. Native speakers say lend me all the time. Lend me your phone for a second. Lend me that pen. It's very direct, but also very normal. It doesn't sound rude. It sounds like you're talking to a friend.
Now let's talk about formal versus informal. In casual conversation, you'd say, "Can you lend me $5?" Super simple. But in a more formal or polite situation, you might say, "Would you mind lending me your charger? I'll give it back after the meeting." Adding "would you mind" and "I'll give it back" makes it sound more polite and considerate.
And for borrow in formal situations, instead of "can I borrow your pen?" you might say, "Would it be all right if I borrowed your pen for a moment?" That sounds very polite, perfect for speaking to a teacher, a boss, or someone you don't know very well.
Here's a real-life dialogue. Imagine two friends. One of them is going to a job interview. "Hey, I've got a big interview tomorrow and I don't have a nice jacket. Can I borrow yours?"
Of course, I can lend you the dark blue one. It'll look great on you.
"Are you sure? I'll bring it back tomorrow night."
No problem at all. Good luck with the interview. See how natural that sounds? One person borrows, the other person lends. In real conversations, you'll often hear both words within the same exchange, just like that.
Now, here's a quick tip. First, always think about who has the thing. Second, think about who needs it. Third, the person who has it uses lend, and the person who needs it uses borrow. It really is that.
Here's another situation. You're at a library, which is basically a place built for borrowing. You say to the librarian, "I'd like to borrow this book, please." And the librarian might say, "Of course, we can lend it to you for 2 weeks." Libraries are the perfect real-life example of this.
I love that example. And here's a fun one. Think about when you borrow something and forget to return it. Your friend might say, "Hey, I lent you my charger 3 weeks ago." And you'd say, "Oh no, I'm so sorry. I borrowed it and completely forgot." We've all been there, right?
Yes. Write in the comments. Have you ever borrowed something and forgotten to return it? Or lent something and never got it back? I think everyone has a story about this.
All right, let's quickly review this section. In real life, lend and borrow come up constantly with money, objects, clothes, books, anything shared temporarily. Formal situations call for more polite phrases like, "Would you mind lending?" or "Would it be all right if I borrowed?" But in casual speech, both words are direct and friendly.
Great work, everyone. Let's keep going and look at some extra uses that will really make your English sound polished.
Okay, so now we know the basics of lend and borrow. But here's where it gets really interesting, because English speakers don't just use these words on their own. They also use them in some really common expressions and idioms that you'll hear all the time.
That's right. And knowing these extra expressions will really take your English to the next level. Let me start with one of my favorites, lend a hand. When someone says lend a hand, they don't mean giving you their actual hand. It means helping someone. Can you lend me a hand with these boxes? Means, can you help me with these boxes?
Oh, I use that one all the time. Lend a hand is super common in everyday English. You'll hear it at work, at home, anywhere. And notice, it's lend a hand, not borrow a hand. You never borrow a hand. That's just one of those fixed expressions you need to remember.
Another great expression, lend an ear. This means to listen to someone, usually when they have a problem. If a friend says, "Can I talk to you about something?" you might say, "Of course, I'll lend you my ear." It's a caring, old-fashioned, but still totally natural expression.
And then there's the phrase lend itself to something. This is more advanced, but worth knowing. It means something is suitable for a purpose. For example, this living room lends itself to big gatherings. It's so spacious. That's not about objects. It's about the room being naturally good for something.
Now, for borrowing, there's a great expression, living on borrowed time. This means that someone or something has lasted longer than expected and might not last much longer. You might hear it in news headlines or dramatic conversations. That old building is living on borrowed time. Very useful in English.
And here's a really practical one. Can I borrow you for a second? This might sound strange, but people actually say this. It means, can I have a moment of your time? Someone at work might say, "Hey, can I borrow you for a second? I need your opinion on something." It's informal and friendly. That one always makes me smile. You're not actually borrowing a person, but that's how idioms work in English, right? They don't always mean exactly what the words say. Let's do a little practice. I'm going to say a sentence, and you try to guess the meaning. Ready? Ready. Go for it. Okay. The teacher asked if anyone could lend a hand setting up the chairs. What does lend a hand mean here? It means help. The teacher is asking if...
It means help. The teacher is asking if anyone can help set up the chairs. That's a perfect use of lend a hand. If you got that right, give yourself a pat on the back.
Great job. Now try this one. She borrowed the idea from a book she'd read years ago. Does that sound weird? No, it doesn't. You can borrow ideas too, not just objects. In English, borrow can also mean to take or adapt something from another source.
Yes, borrow is actually quite flexible. Writers borrow ideas, chefs borrow recipes from other cultures, designers borrow styles from other eras. It's a really natural way to say that something was inspired by or taken from something else.
So to wrap up this section, beyond the basic meaning, lend appears in great expressions like lend a hand and lend an ear. Borrow can be used for non-physical things like ideas and time. These extra uses make your English sound really rich and natural.
Now let's move on to the section everyone needs, common mistakes. This is where we get really honest about what people get wrong.
I love this part. Let's go.
Okay, common mistakes time. And I want to start by saying I have made these mistakes myself. Both of us have. So if you've made these errors, you are in very good company.
Absolutely. Let's look at the most common ones. Mistake number 1, and this is the big one, saying, "Can you borrow me your pen?" This is wrong because the person speaking doesn't have the pen. They need it. The correct version is, "Can you lend me your pen?" You're asking the other person to give it to you, so they are lending, not borrowing.
The reason this happens is that borrow and lend both describe the same transaction, so people mix up the direction. Remember, if you're asking someone else to give you something, use lend. Can you lend me? If you're asking permission to take something, use borrow. Can I borrow?
Mistake number 2, saying, "I borrowed him some money." Wrong. If you gave money to someone temporarily, you lent it. The correct version is, "I lent him some money." You were the one giving, so you are the lender. "I borrowed him money" sounds very strange to a native speaker. It's like saying, "I gave him money and I received money at the same time." It doesn't make sense in English.
And this one makes total sense when you think about it. But in the moment, a lot of people mix it up because in some other languages, there's just one word for both actions. So if your first language has one word that means both give temporarily and receive temporarily, this confusion is very natural.
Mistake number 3, using borrow without saying who you're borrowing from when it causes confusion. For example, can I borrow? Borrow what? From whom? Always try to be complete. Can I borrow your charger? Or even more complete, can I borrow your charger from you? The from is sometimes left out in casual speech, but the object should always be there.
Here's a funny example of this mistake in action. Imagine someone walks up to you and just says, "Hey, I need to borrow." And you stare at them waiting for the rest of the sentence. Borrow what? My car? My phone? My dog? Always say what you want to borrow. Mistake number 4, forgetting that lend and loan are related. In American English especially, loan is sometimes used as a verb the same way as lend. Can you loan me some money is perfectly acceptable. But borrow can never be replaced by loan as a verb. You can't say, "I loaned his car," when you mean you received it. So be careful with loan. It only works like lend, never like borrow.
Now, please don't feel bad if you've made any of these mistakes. Really, these errors come up even in high-level learners because the two words are so closely connected. The important thing is to understand why they're wrong, not just that they're wrong. Exactly. And here's a quick practice to check yourself. Try to correct these sentences in your head. 1. Can you borrow me your notes? 2. She borrowed me her umbrella. 3. I need to lend a book from the library. Write the corrected versions in the comments. We'll check them.
The corrected versions would be 1. Can you lend me your notes? 2. She lent me her umbrella. 3. I need to borrow a book from the library. Did you get all 3 right? Amazing job if you did.
You're doing so well, everyone. Every mistake you notice and correct is a step closer to natural, confident English. Keep going. You've got this.
All right, it's practice time. This is my favorite part because now you get to use what you've learned. We're going to do a quick activity. Choose the correct sentence. I'll give you 2 options, and you choose the right one. Ready?
Situation 1. Your friend has a bicycle and you want to use it this afternoon. What do you say? Option A, can I borrow your bicycle this afternoon? Option B, can I lend your bicycle this afternoon?
Think about it. The answer is option A. Can I borrow your bicycle? You are the one receiving, so you borrow. Option B is completely wrong. You don't have the bicycle, so you can't lend it.
Situation 2. Your coworker forgot their lunch money. You have extra cash. What do you say? Option A, do you want to borrow some money? Option B, do you want to lend some money?
The answer is option A. Do you want to borrow some money? You have the money, you're offering it temporarily. But wait, actually, you could also say, I can lend you some money. Both work. You could say, do you want to borrow, asking from their perspective, or I can lend you, speaking from your perspective. See how flexible this is?
Situation 3. You're talking about last night. Your neighbor needed a ladder and you gave it to them. How do you tell your friend about it? Option A, I borrowed my ladder to the neighbor. Option B, I lent my ladder to the neighbor. Option B, I lent my ladder to the neighbor. Past tense of lend is lent. You had the ladder, you gave it temporarily. Option A is wrong. Borrowed here would mean you received it, but you're the one who had it. Now, here's a challenge for you. Say these sentences out loud. Actually say them, don't just think them. Speaking out loud is the best way to make new language stick. Can I borrow your phone charger? Sure, I can lend it to you. Thanks, I'll give it back in an hour. No problem, I lent it to you before and you always return things. Did you say those out loud? If not, go back and say them right now. It feels a little silly sometimes, but it really works. Speaking makes the language real in a way that just reading can't. And here's your creative challenge. Make your own sentence using both lend and borrow in the
And here's your creative challenge. Make your own sentence using both lend and borrow in the same sentence. For example, she borrowed my jacket, so I lent it to her for the weekend. Can you write one about your life? Put it in the comments. We'd love to see your sentences.
Remember, you don't have to be perfect. The goal is real communication, not perfect grammar. Even if you make a small mistake, you're practicing, and that's what matters most.
Okay, what an episode. I'm honestly so happy we did this one because lend and borrow are such a common confusion, and today we completely cleared it up. You should feel really good about what you've learned today.
Let's quickly go over the 3 main things we covered. Number 1, the basic rule. Lend goes out from the person who has something. Borrow comes into the person who needs something. Lend goes out, borrow comes in. Never forget that.
Number 2, real-life situations. We talked about borrowing money, clothes, books, and ideas. We looked at formal phrases like, would you mind lending me? And casual ones like, can I borrow? And lend me your. And we saw how both words can appear in the same conversation, just from different perspectives.
Number 3, idioms and common mistakes. Lend a hand means help. Lend an ear means listen. And the most common mistake, can you borrow me, should always be, can you lend me? Because you want something from the other person, not from yourself.
You know, language learning is a journey. Every episode you watch, every sentence you practice, every comment you write, it all adds up. You are getting better every single day, even when it doesn't feel like it.
Here's something to think about before our next episode. What's something you've recently borrowed from someone or lent to someone? Think of a real situation from your life. Can you describe it using the correct words now? Write it in the comments and practice with us.
And if you found this episode helpful, and I really hope you did, please hit the like button, share it with a friend who's learning English, and of course, subscribe to Word to World English so you don't miss what's coming next. We put so much love into every episode, and it means the world to us when you share it. Thank you so much for spending this time with us today. You showed up, you paid attention, and you practiced. And that takes real effort. We're so proud of every single one of you. Keep going, keep practicing, and remember, every mistake is just proof that you're trying. See you next time.